All right, so I'm sitting here with Erika Severini, someone who I encountered by chance during, I was hired to write an interview or to have an interview with her and write an article about her for her company. So we just happened to meet by chance and had a great conversation and figured we should do this over a podcast as well. So welcome, Erika.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's so fun to be here.
It's very
Super
good to have
exciting.
you here. As mentioned, I was hired to conduct an interview with you and write an article, and we had like 30 minutes for the interview, and I just had to, I struggled to keep it on topic and not, ask you a bunch of tangents, because I thought your life story was so interesting and I wanted to keep on asking about it.
Yeah.
But then I have to remind myself, oh shit, I'm here to do a job.
Like from question to question.
Exactly. And I was very happy at the end of the interview. I asked you if you want to come on my podcast, and you said yes, and that made me very happy.
For sure, and likewise, I'm super happy that you asked. Like, this is a really fun experience to be part of. Cool.
Very appreciated. All right, so let's start with one of the points that made it so interesting that I want to ask you more about. So you're half Finnish, half Italian, right?
Yes, exactly.
That is a very cool mix.
A bit of north, a bit of south, a little mix of all of that.
Yeah. So let's start at the beginning. Where were you born?
So, the story is a bit more complicated than that.
Ooh,
I was
like
born in Vienna, in Austria. And there, me and my family lived for around 2 years. So, unfortunately, I don't remember that much from that time. But after that, we moved to London. And there we lived for a good 7 years. So that's where I had like all my childhood memories, or at least early childhood.
Yeah.
And after that, we moved along to Rome. So back to the home country. It wasn't for too long. However, it was around like 1.5 years, 2 years. Then Helsinki also, where I lived for my teenage years with my mom. And then I found my home here in Stockholm, where I've lived now for around 9 years, which is incredible, basically my entire adult life. So yeah, it's been a ride for sure.
Yeah, I can imagine. What languages did your parents teach you when you were first growing up? Yeah,
so it was a bit of a mix for sure. Our like main family language was Italian. Okay. So that's what we spoke at home. Because my mom is from Finland, and she learned Italian, and then that kind of naturally became our common language. However, I did speak a lot of Finnish with my Finnish grandparents from an early age. So like that language was incorporated quite early on already. And as well as, of course, then English, because I was living in London.
Yeah.
But above all that, I went to a French school.
In London you went to a French school?
Yes, exactly.
All right. So it wasn't complicated enough to begin with. So
exactly.
Your parents figured, why not?
Exactly. So that's a bit what happened. And like I remember like doing my homework in French, and also speaking French with my siblings, because we all lived in London back then. So it was an interesting mix of like French with my siblings and like Finnish with my mom, Italian with my dad. But then when we were all at table having dinner, it would be Italian. So definitely a healthy mix of different languages.
Very multicultural.
Yes, for sure.
did your mom learn Italian because she met your father, or was she already living in Italy, or?
Yes. So actually super cute story. I'm telling my parents to like sell these stories to like Netflix or something.
Okay.
But my mom did a trip abroad with her friend to Rome when she was quite young. I think was she like 16 or 17 or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then there she met my dad, and the rest was history. They met at Roma Termini. So
what is
at the like train station, main train station in Rome. And yeah, that's how the story of the Severini started from my part also.
Nice.
Yeah.
Where in Finland is your mom from?
When we lived in Finland, we were in Helsinki, but my grandparents used to live in Kuopio, which is in the like central Finland.
Okay, so kind of in the middle of nowhere then.
I mean, it is like a very cute city, not a village even, but like, but yeah, I really like the place. It's quite small, definitely, at least compared to Helsinki. Yeah. But it's a few hours away with the train for sure. So it's a bit of a ride there.
Got it. The reason why I'm asking is I can imagine it's a pretty big shift from there to Rome. Then.
Oh, absolutely. Like that you can say for sure.
For a 16-year-old to be like, all right, going to Rome now. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's their love story is so inspiring. Like every time I tell that to like my friends or whatever, it's so fun to like see their reactions and so forth. It's
not like today everyone met on Tinder.
Exactly. No, that you can say for sure. And like they were like interrailing, between countries for many years and whatnot. Until then, they found their path and like their lives together in Rome. And that's where it all started a few years after.
Cool. How did they end up in Vienna though?
That's a good question. So they eventually both started working at the Italian embassy. Mm-hmm. So that's also like why we moved around so much. So that's the explanation for it.
So it's in your DNA to be moving around then.
For sure. Yeah. Even though, I've been here in Stockholm for a good time now, but I don't think I'm gonna travel that much, at least moving around in the same tempo as before.
Yeah, of course.
But it's definitely been a huge part of my life.
Cool. All right, so let's go to London then.
Yeah,
What do you remember about growing up in London?
It's basically all my first, memories that you would have as a child, which, I keep super close to me. And it's still a very important place for me. We do have our house back in London still.
Nice.
So it's fun to, like sometimes do some trips there, like back to memory lane kind of.
Yeah.
But I just remember, weirdly enough, I don't remember much of the rain there, but...
of course, you suppress those memories.
Exactly, you kind of tend to forget that part.
Yeah.
But just what a beautiful and like vibrant city it was.
Yeah.
Even though I was like a kid, like I lived there from when I was 2 years old to 9 years old or something like that.
I'm not too familiar with London, but were you living centrally? Was it like or a little bit outside of town? What kind of environment was it?
Yeah, no, it was in near Earl's Court, so quite central, I would say. So very close with whatever like subways and so forth. But of course, like the most vivid memories are from my school there. Yeah. And generally the French school there, which was a very different environment from what maybe Scandinavian schools are here. Yeah. So it's always fun to remember those those days.
How did you end up in a French school?
Yeah, so that's another thing, because our family doesn't really have any like straight connections to France. But my parents figured that since they were gonna move around quite a lot and jump around from city to city, there are like, I think in every capital there's an international school, a German school, and a French school.
Okay.
And they figured like, okay, she's going to learn English eventually. So that kind of discarded the international school.
Yeah.
And it was between German and French school. So yeah, French sounded like a really nice language, I guess.
That's very interesting. Like a lot of parents are worried about if they have like backgrounds from different countries, they're worried about their kids not, learning either language particularly well if they introduce too many languages.
Yeah.
Clearly, your parents were not worried about that part.
That wasn't the case at all, for sure.
And you were in London, you said, from age 2 to age 9 approximately?
Yes, exactly.
Do you remember struggling with all these languages, or?
So, I mean, interestingly, not really. No. Because I was kind of born into it and into a very like multicultural family to begin with. So it didn't feel too weird. However, I do remember being like super confused of what my actual nationality was, because
I can imagine that.
I went to school and I was surrounded by these French kids and very with also international backgrounds, and I would speak French for like 8 hours a day. So then obviously I started gaining a lot of knowledge from the French culture too, and singing like French songs at school and whatnot. So I actually thought I was French back then also, while being Italian and Finnish. And so it was a bit of a like cultural soup, to be honest. But I
can imagine. Do you remember if that was maybe it's hard to think of it in those terms from that young of an age, but if it was important to you, did you like feel like you wanted to know if you were French or British or whatever? Yeah,
well, I mean, not really. That it wasn't something that I would question that much. Even it was more of like this is what it is, and I was so used to it, and it was so normal for me. So I didn't question it much. But of course, like at home, speaking Italian and speaking Finnish also with my grandparents and with my mom, then those parts of those cultures were super important for us too. So we wanted to cherish them at home for sure. So those cultures were all are all still very important for me and close to my heart. But it wasn't, I didn't feel like it had to be one or the other, but it was just a lot of fun cultures to be part of, kind of. So
you can pick and choose your favorites from favorite stuff from every culture, pretty much.
Yes, exactly.
It's so cool. My mom has worked with kids of all various different backgrounds her whole life. She's been working in a school with a lot of multicultural kids and parents, of course. And the one thing that she has taught me about that is like kids are really good at learning multiple languages at the same time.
Yes, it's incredible, really. What a kid's mind can do. It's crazy.
So cool. The important thing is like for the parents not to mix languages. Like if one parent speaks Italian, the other speaks Finnish, that they do not mix, because a kid doesn't know that they're different languages. So if you hear the same person speaking multiple languages, then you're just going to assume that's the same language.
And
I get it. You're going to be mixing it as a kid.
Oh, that's super interesting.
So as long as you have like one source of each language, kids are eventually going to figure out that these are different languages.
Exactly.
But you can learn like 4 or 5 languages at the same time, which is amazing.
No, like that does make sense though, from like my perspective as well, like because French was so linked to school, and then not that much at home. So then I mean, of course, you know, there's homework and whatnot, but it was such a clear correlation to like one place, one building, like that's like where I speak French. And then at home, like that's where I speak Italian, and with my mom, Finnish and whatnot. So yeah, it makes sense that the sources were kind of always a bit different.
Yeah, it's super cool. Did your parents speak French?
So they of course, like, because my siblings are around 10 years older than me. So since they also went to French schools, they did learn, you know, throughout the process of their kids being in French school. So when it was my turn, I like maybe not that fluent, but definitely, you know, understood and were able to like communicate a bit and whatnot.
Yeah, so you couldn't mess with them in French, like they wouldn't get it.
Yeah, well, I don't want to go there, but it was a bit of a secret language with my siblings as well.
Nice.
If you speak it like maybe fast enough, they would not get it.
That can come in handy.
Yeah.
Okay, so you learned 4 languages then simultaneously?
Yes, exactly.
And how many do you speak today?
Today 5, because of the amazing Swedish language that I got to practice over the years here in Sweden, but also that I learned in Helsinki. So when I lived in Helsinki from when I was 11 to 18, it is also compulsory to study Swedish at some point.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
I'm not too sure what the rules are right now, but back then when I went to school, it was compulsory. And I just remember thinking like, okay, I'm at school and like I already speak 4 languages.
Yeah.
Like, why do I have to add a new one to this? Like a completely strange language for me back in the days. And I remember like going back home from school and telling my mom like, oh, like, I don't want to do this. I'm so not interested. I'm never going to use Swedish. Yeah. And here I am like a few years later. So yeah, always learn the language if you have the possibility, because you never know when it's going to come in handy.
Yeah, I happen to learn 3 languages. I'm born in former Yugoslavia, so spoke the language from there, and then came to Sweden. So I learned Swedish and English. And
around what age was that?
I was 5 years old when I came to Sweden.
Okay, so you still had like the mentality of being able to learn a new language quite fast.
I was young enough, which is very fortunate, because that's where I was getting at. Like now, when I tried to learn Spanish for a few years. It's so hard.
It is.
It's so hard as an adult. Really, yeah, when I was probably like 20, 21, that's when I started learning Spanish. I always wanted to learn Spanish. Actually, my elementary school didn't have Spanish.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I had to choose between. Yeah, it's very unusual in Sweden.
Yeah, usually they do.
Spanish.
Yeah.
So I had to choose between French and German, and I chose German.
Okay. How's your German now?
Nicht so gut.
No, okay.
Nein.
Let's not go there.
No, it's not great, but I feel if I would live in Germany for a little while, I would probably learn pretty quickly, but definitely not good right now.
For sure.
But yeah, so we didn't have Spanish, though. If we had Spanish, I feel like I would be pretty good at Spanish, because I always enjoyed that language, and I've traveled to Spain a lot. And
no, for sure. And if you have the interest too.
Yeah, exactly. But then when I started at age 20, 21, it was impossible.
Yeah.
Like the discipline is gone.
Yeah. No.
And you gotta live in the country, otherwise it's just, for me at least, it's just not gonna happen.
Absolutely. No, I totally get it. And when you have so many other things in your head, you know, like it's not maybe the one priority that you have, that you could have had, you know, as a kid studying.
But it comes in so handy to speak various languages, because then you kind of can think in different ways, because you know every language has a set of words or a set of phrases or a set of what do you call them, like idioms and stuff like that. which the other languages don't, and then you can like triangulate to kind of figure out even languages you don't speak. And
for sure,
that is so cool. I can only imagine with having 5 languages in your toolbox. That's gotta be amazing.
Absolutely. No, like that's a very good point that you touched, actually, that I definitely relate to. That not only it is like a language, but it's really a new culture that opens up in a different way, which is so much fun to like start discovering other cultures too.
Yeah, for sure.
And of course, it's different speaking with a person in their native language than what it would be maybe in English. So it's super fun, really.
Definitely. What language would you add if you would add one today?
Oh, okay. That's a good one. I would actually pick Spanish too, but that's because with the French and Italian background, Spanish is quite like accessible and like already just like reading text in Spanish, like I can somewhat decipher what they mean. But it would be super fun to be fluent in Spanish as well. So I've had it on my bucket list.
You could probably learn it pretty quickly then. With the knowledge you have.
Absolutely.
So in your household, you were speaking Italian then. You mentioned after London you moved to, where was it?
To Rome.
For a couple of years.
Yes, exactly.
How was that?
Yeah, so that was actually interesting. That I remember when my parents told us that, okay, like this is our next step and we're going to move to Rome. And my sister already had moved from London to Rome for her studies. As I mentioned earlier, my siblings are a bit older, so she had already started university there. And I remember my parents and my siblings be like, oh yeah, it's so nice to like go back home. And I was like, what do you mean? Home is London? Because obviously like that was all that I was used to. Like it was my life there, and all my memories from like living somewhere were from London. And then for them it was going back home, and I just remember feeling this like a bit confused, like no, we are leaving home. And Rome was this like more like vacation place to me, even though it had a super important, spot in my heart always, because like we had like family there and whatnot. But it was so weird to think that London, that I was like leaving my home in London. But yeah, as a kid, like you get used to things very fast, and I was also super adaptive to change and whatnot. So it was just a fun thing. I was excited.
I can imagine. And then from Rome you went to Helsinki, you said? Yes,
exactly.
I feel like Italian culture and Finnish culture in the European context are probably polar opposites.
Yes, for sure. You can say that. It's actually funny. I have one story that incorporates or like illustrates perfectly the difference between like Italy and Finland, or at least personality wise. So when I moved from Rome to Helsinki, I was 11 years old. And I remember that these kids were like so quiet, and of course like there's always exceptions, but they were a bit more shy maybe than I was. And the first year I lived there, we had this like Christmas like little theater that we had made with the kids for parents. And I think I was playing like Santa Claus or something in that play. And I told my music teacher, hey, what if I would all of a sudden start like singing Volare, like the song? And because I was super excited to bring the Italian culture to like Finnish French school. And then I remember that my teacher was like, okay, sure, like
A little
go
bit
for
much.
it, but like a bit odd, but okay, let's do it. It could be fun.
Nice.
So then, yeah, I started like singing this song in the middle of the like play in the school cafeteria, and like I even like just left the stage because I was so carried away with my microphone, and I started like singing in the audience and like clapping my hands and like making people dance and whatnot while singing this like super Italian classic song.
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember the looks of the people being like, what is this girl doing? Like, it's so extra.
That's hilarious.
But it was, yeah, I think it's a bit of, you know, the cultural differences in a nutshell.
Yeah.
But it was really
showmanship.
fun. Yeah, exactly.
Italians are known for their showmanship.
For sure.
I wouldn't say Finnish people are.
No, not as much at least, for sure.
Okay, so moving from Rome to Helsinki must have been quite a culture shock then.
Yeah, I mean...
Or did your mom prepare you? Like, this is going to be different.
Exactly. No, like, we did travel a lot to Finland.
Oh, right.
During, you know, like the summers, because we have like a sommarställe, like a summer cabin there, where we went every summer, and yeah, with my grandparents too that were there and whatnot. So I definitely was introduced to the Finnish culture, but having never lived there and being a kid, like you don't really understand the differences until you're actually there and like you experience them.
Was that tough? Like being a kind of a showman or being from a different culture and coming to a culture that's, I guess it's fairly similar to Swedish culture where you're kind of not supposed to stand out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Was that tough as a kid?
So thankfully, or like I was in a very international school still, because it was still the French school in Helsinki.
Okay.
So there were like, a lot of French kids and international kids as well. But it did take a bit of like adaptiveness for sure. But I quickly learned to, you know, the Finnish manners and the Finnish ways of doing things. And I wouldn't like to say that I have like a different personality in each country, because in the end, like I'm me, like with all the different cultures that I have. But it was a bit, it did like require a bit of adaptiveness for sure.
And what is closest to who you are, like on the inside? Are you more Italian or more Finnish? What feels most natural to you?
That's a classic question that I never know how to answer, because I think deep down I'm still a bit of the like confused kid, like nationality wise. But I would say that having lived in Helsinki for 10 years, or like 9 years, especially during my teenage years that are extremely formative when it comes to like your values and morality and whatnot, and how like you perceive the world, I would say that I'm more Scandinavian in that way. But then maybe personality wise, I definitely like still feel like there are some differences there when it comes to, you know, still being very Italian in some ways, that I don't think I'm ever going to change that much. So I would say more Scandinavian values, because that's what I grew up with in my formative years. But a strong Italian personality, I would say, still. it's there.
Nice. And then after Helsinki, you went to move to Stockholm, right?
Yes, exactly.
That was probably not as big of a culture shock then.
Yeah, it was. It's very similar, but there still are big differences for sure.
Like what?
I mean, especially maybe when working with Finnish colleagues and Swedish colleagues, like you start seeing the differences more than maybe when I was studying. But one thing for sure is I remember when I started a job here in Stockholm, it was one of my first jobs here. And by the end of the day, my boss would always be like, hey, jättebra jobbat idag, and like super, like positive. And that it was so visible that there was this positiveness that I wasn't maybe that used to in Finland.
Right.
So that definitely like made me raise a bit of an eyebrow. I was like, oh, okay, like that was actually super nice. And like everyone being like, oh, trevlig helg, and like super like genuine and positive in that way. So I think that was one of the first thing I've noticed.
Yeah.
But then I would definitely say also the straightforwardness of Finns in general, and the Finnish sisu that I don't know, maybe you have heard about what sisu is.
No.
But it's basically this word that is apparently not translatable, but it means like, in Swedish I would say like jävla anamma, or how do you say that?
Oof, like, good question. How would you say that in English? Like lit a fire under or behind, something like that.
Exactly. No, but this like passion to pull through and never give up, and like that's a big part of the Finnish culture, I would say.
Yeah.
So you can see it concretely. For example, when people don't really beat around the bushes, but like they're like quite straightforward to the point in Finland, and especially in the work environment, it can be quite a big difference to be perceived.
That's so interesting, because while you were saying it, I was about how like nice everyone is in Sweden, and I was thinking of the dark side of that, which is when there is a reason to have a discussion or a conflict or whatever, it can sometimes be needed. You need to figure something out when two people don't feel the same way.
Yeah,
we are so scared of that in Sweden.
Yeah, it's a bit the fear of conflict, isn't it?
Yeah, a lot of it. I've worked a lot with Finnish people, and I love that. All right, this doesn't work. Let's fix it.
Exactly.
It's not personal. It's not that you suck, but let's figure this out. Like we need to figure it out.
It's just how things are, and then you just want to be efficient and
and
get
especially
it done with.
In a work situation, that's how it should be, because we're here to do business. We're here to do add value to whatever we're doing.
Exactly.
So you just need to figure things out sometimes.
Yeah, for sure.
I used to work with this Scottish man who told me he moved from Scotland to Stockholm.
Okay.
And he said he just misses fighting with people.
Okay, yeah.
I was like, what do you mean? He said in Scotland at work, you have a heated discussion, you don't agree with one another, and then you yell it out and you slam your fist on the table and you go and you slam the door. And then you kind of, let it all out, and then you come back together and you start working again.
Yeah, that would be a long talk with HR, I would think here.
Slamming the door here, oof, that's a warning, a written warning here.
Exactly. No, but I definitely see that.
Yeah. No, I think it's tricky to know what's preferable. I'm fairly Swedish. Like I've been here since I was 5 years old, so I'm very Swedish in the way I think about the world. But of course, I have a little bit of my parents' background in me.
Yeah, for sure. It always sticks with you.
Yeah. So I appreciate kind of the Balkans are also more like the Finns. In the Finns, a little more straightforward. But of course, the Swedish, the Swedish, what would you call it, niceness, it's very efficient in other areas. Like if you want to maintain a friendly relationship and avoid accidentally ruining a relationship, of course, it's good with the Swedish way.
Yeah.
But sometimes you need to have that conflict anyway and still remain friends. And if no one is used to having conflicts and remaining friends, then that becomes very hard to do.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know, but I feel like a bit of a conflict, a bit of a fight every now and then, like it just shows it's one way to show love to another person too.
Exactly.
As in, like, I care about you, or I care about this project, like I'm passionate about this, so let's do it the best way we can. So yeah, it is there's two phases to
absolutely
to the story, for
absolutely
sure.
Just being a yes man or a yes woman is sometimes not the nice thing to do.
Yes, exactly.
Sometimes people need to hear, this is an issue, or you should do this way, or whatever it may be. It's more considerate to take the conflict every now and then.
Absolutely, when it's needed. It's yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's fun though. Like someone who has experienced so many different places that you have. What would you say? Let's start with first as a private person, like as you as a person in private life, and then in a professional sense. Like of all of the different cultures you've experienced, what would you prefer in your private life, and what would you prefer in like a professional sense?
Yeah, wow. Oh, I don't want to be the boring person who always takes the diplomatic answer, but like I really feel like having seen all of these like different countries and really having lived them as well makes it possible to kind of pick like the best parts of the different cultures. So I would say maybe a healthy mix of them, but
you can't say that.
No, okay. All right. Let me think then. I would definitely, I mean, for my personal life, I think the like Scandinavian way of how you approach people and how you care about people is really close to heart, because obviously like living so long in Finland and living so long in Sweden, like that's what I'm used to now, kind of.
Yeah.
And but then when it comes to family, I would definitely pick more of the like Italian mentality, because families has always been super important to me. Like I love my family to death, really. And I feel like, obviously not generalizing too much, but I don't see that same passion towards your family maybe in Scandinavia, both like in Sweden and Finland, in the same way as I would maybe see it in Italy. So definitely there, like, maintaining good contact with everyone in the family is extremely important to me. So that's something I hold close to heart. Yeah.
It's super interesting, because I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
And I've heard some things in Sweden, which probably in Italy and probably elsewhere would be completely unthinkable. Like I remember sitting with a bunch of colleagues, and this lady was talking about how her daughter was in financial troubles.
Yes. Yeah.
And there was some owed some money to someone, and she says, soon she'll be 18, then it's not my problem.
Yeah.
And no one reacted, and I was like, holy shit, that is cold.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine that.
I definitely understand, but exactly that's one of the like points I had in mind, that like I feel like your family always has your back, whatever happens. And at least for what I've seen, in Italy, and also my friends' families in Italy and whatnot, that like I feel like the government is not backing you up in the same way, and you don't have like that same sense of security coming from that part as you would have maybe here in Sweden, which is amazing. Like I'm all for that. But of course, then it makes people much more individualistic, and then it takes it takes a bit away the importance of the family as well. And when this happens like decades after decades, of course it starts impacting also how people view their families.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, it's definitely a big difference there.
Yeah, and I struggle with this because I really don't know, what's good and what's bad here. Of course, everyone needs to live their life however they want, and there's Swedish people who are warmer than Italian people. There's everything.
Exactly, yeah.
But in a broad cultural sense, of course, there's the kind of difference that you talk about, and so I somehow feel like what makes Sweden such a great place to live also makes it in other ways not such a great place to live.
I know.
And I can say the same about the Balkans. What makes that kind of culture great is also what makes it bad. So to be more specific, like
I'm interested to hear about that part because I don't have that many Balkan friends. So
I
interesting to hear.
think it's fairly similar to Italy.
Okay,
where it's very important. Of course, family is very important, and also like connections in general. Like you have to know someone to I don't know, get help with whatever you need help with. People interact a lot more with each other, which makes the culture warmer. People are more tend to know more about their neighbors and be there for their neighbors when needed.
A bit of like a different type of community, if you would put it that way.
But then that also translates to politics. And you don't. It's great when you and your neighbors care about one another and take care of one another. But when your president does the same thing, that ruins the country.
Yes, no, I definitely
like
understand what you're
taking care of his friends, because that's how people operate in this culture. Then that's a big issue.
Yeah, for
sure.
So
in Sweden, it's the opposite. You have much more of an individual mindset, and maybe let's say meritocratic mindset. Which is great for government. Generally there's low corruption up here, and generally things work the way they should, which is great. But on a interpersonal level, it leads to this coldness or whatever you want to call it that we were talking about. So it's the same phenomenon. It's the same thing that makes it great in one realm and bad in another. Like a lot of expats who come to Sweden struggle making friends.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Maybe
I can sign that
you're
too.
familiar with that.
Yes, for sure.
So I don't know. It's super hard to know what you would want to go for. I would personally prefer what we have in Sweden, because a steady, stable government is much more important than making friends. I don't know.
I get
that
what you mean,
wrong.
though. No, but I get what you mean, because what about the people that literally do not have family or do not have that network? Because unfortunately there's a lot of people like that in Italy too, and then what do you rely on? There's nothing to rely on in that sense. So I'm all for that as well, and I think things work generally quite well here in Sweden when it comes to getting help and whatnot. Like I feel like you can rely to something else than just family, which is great. But not everyone has that possibility. So I think it's super important that you have a good system in place.
Absolutely. It's tricky. Yeah,
for sure.
That's what makes it interesting to talk to someone who has experienced all these cultures. Exactly. And it's not easy to know what's best. So picking and choosing from all of the different experiences is probably the best to do.
Exactly, that's my way. I take a bit of north, bit of south, and mix it together.
I think also just to wrap up what I was saying about if as long as the government is steady, that's good, because you can always find like-minded people in a social context for the other stuff. Even if 90% of Swedes are not your cup of tea in a social aspect, there's still 10%, and you know, who needs more than 100,000 friends?
Exactly. Fair enough. Good point.
Yeah.
No, but I think one fun thing that you touched upon was definitely making friends and like genuine connections in Stockholm. Or I speak about Stockholm because that's my experience from Sweden. Coming here, and I was 18 years old, which is crazy. I was a child. I was just a baby when I came here. But I remember that, so I started an international program. So I was a bit in this international bubble, if you want to put it that way, for my studies. But then when that ended, I was like, okay, damn, like it's time to look for a job. And all of a sudden I was in this super Swedish environment in the different jobs that I applied for. And yeah, it's not always easy, but then if you're lucky, you find like those few people that, you know, you click super well with, and then it gets easier from there. But I've had many conversations with international friends that unfortunately have found it extremely difficult to connect with people here. So that's maybe one downside, unfortunately, on you know, maybe moving to Sweden. But yeah, I've somehow been super lucky, and I have a great network of people here that I'm so thankful for. But yeah, hasn't always been easy, for sure.
No, of course. So you came to Sweden as an 18-year-old.
Yes.
To study?
Yeah, to study. So I went to Stockholm Business School, and there I did my bachelor's and master's. And then, what was it after my studies that I started working with? I went straight to Daniel Wellington, actually. So super Swedish company, that too. But that was a very, like, soft intro to the Swedish culture, because it was still quite an international company, because they work in so many different markets. So yeah, there was, you know, like the Spanish team, the French team, the Italian team. I was part of the Italian team. Surprise, surprise. But yeah, so it was a bit of a mix of people. And then I feel like also the Swedish people that worked there they were very like open-minded and also interested in other cultures, which was super fun.
Nice.
So yeah.
Cool. What did you study?
I studied international business in the bachelor's, so that was quite a like general program in business administration. So with all the different areas like accounting, marketing, whatnot. But then I specialized a bit more in my master's in operations management. Okay. Which sounds boring, but it was really fun, actually. I liked my master's more. So it's more of the supply chain of products, which actually I didn't end up working with because now I'm in marketing. But it was super interesting back then. And yeah, I didn't really know like what I would want to work with, so I just studied what I was interested in pretty much. But then I also minored a lot, or I took a lot of courses in marketing, which then really opened up my passion for that field. So yeah, now I'm super happy to have found, you know, a position in that field and continuing my career in that.
So what attracted you to marketing?
I would definitely say the mix of creativeness and the analytical mindset that you also have to have. Being able to mix those two is not something you can do that much in other parts of business, but also being able to use the international backgrounds that that people have with like working in different markets and whatnot. I think that's super interesting, and it's something that I've been able to do in my line of work. So
cool.
Yeah, combining all these three elements, I would say.
Nice. You work with what's called paid search results. So the top results on Google that are paid. I guess other search engines as well, but who cares about those? Yeah,
it's pretty much Google. Let's be honest. Yeah,
they run the planet when it comes to that stuff.
Exactly. For sure.
Have you encountered AI search at all?
Yeah, it's actually been incorporated quite a lot in the job that I'm doing every day. So one example that comes to mind directly is a big part of the job is writing copies.
Right.
So like writing the actual ads that you put on Google. And naturally, like, you have to be quite creative and get creative with, you know, what type of communication you put out and whatnot. And ChatGPT is a great tool for that as well. Like when you kind of hit a wall and you don't really know which way to go, it's fun to use that tool.
It comes in handy.
Absolutely, yeah, to get a bit like out of your bubble and like get other ideas. I would say maybe for you, even as a copywriter, like is it a copywriter? Yes, exactly. I believe like it's been super good for you too, or
I haven't really used it yet.
Okay, yeah.
I'm trying to resist.
Okay, yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, I we'll see what happens. I believe my line of work as a copywriter, it depends on what kind of text you want to write. Like, of course, there's a bunch of these texts that are just for search engines. You know, you want to put it on your blog just to kind of raise your results on Google or whatever. But the kind of work where, for instance, where you and I first met, where I conduct an interview with you and then write an article, that's not really something a ChatGPT can do. Like, you need the human interaction. Of course, you can get help of like how to structure it or whatever, but you need the human interaction to write that kind of article.
Absolutely, it's such a creative process. So like, obviously it.
And that's what I like doing more. I enjoy having conversations face to face with people, so that's kind of what I'm more focused on, and that's not really replaceable yet. We'll see. See. Maybe AI will take that job as well, but so far,
who knows?
I'm cool.
Honestly, like the future is such a big question mark for me right now. Like, where are things even going? I feel like everything is like getting out of hand when it comes to new technologies and whatnot. But it's fun to, you know, be on top of things, of course, and, you know, be interested in it and make your work as efficient as it can be. Yeah. But it's also like, damn, that's a bit scary. Like, what can happen?
I'm particularly scared about the integration of like ChatGPT, like services and search results. Like Bing put out this, Microsoft bought, what are they called? OpenAI to integrate ChatGPT into their search results. Exactly. So you search something, and instead of getting a bunch of links to various sources, the AI puts together an answer.
Right. Yeah.
That is, to me, that's petrifying. Like, already now, of course, you know, you have these different sources, and there's search engine optimization and stuff like that affects what is shown at the top. But they're at least sources, and you can go there, especially if you're like searching for, say, something in the news or something political. you can at least go to that source and see, oh, this is maybe a right-leaning website or a left-leaning website, or they have this perspective.
Exactly.
Or that.
Yeah.
But if AI just, looks at all the results and puts together an answer for you, like, you have no idea.
Absolutely. No, like being critical in that way is gonna be more and more important for sure.
Yeah. But how are you even gonna be critical where you don't know what the source materials are?
Exactly.
You just get an answer and you're like, all right, cool. I guess that's the truth. But
yeah,
there's no such thing.
It's a big difference also, like how you Google things and how you actually use ChatGPT. Like, it's two completely different, like, intents kind of. So, like, you would Google, I don't know, like, how much does this thing cost? Or how do I make this pasta in this way or whatnot? But then with ChatGPT, it's like, it's a real conversation.
Yeah.
So it takes it to a complete other level, which is... crazy.
Yeah,
but,
you can have a little AI friend.
Exactly. Who knows? Honestly, absolutely.
Have you seen the movie Her?
Yes, I have. A few years ago, though. So I don't remember much of it, but I mean, couldn't we say it's already happening now?
Oh, for sure.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So people have already. I remember, like, many years ago, I saw this. I don't know if it was a documentary or just like a short clip or whatever, but like people in Japan, so many guys in Japan, they have, what do you call it? I can't remember, but a lot of guys in Japan had like digital girlfriends.
Right.
And this was a thing probably like, I don't know, somewhere between 5 and 10 years ago already.
Yeah.
Because there's people don't date. It's the culture has gone in that direction. Like they don't make a lot of babies. They don't have real relationships. There's a lot of that going on.
I mean, also with the workloads that they have,
exactly. So it's
a problem for sure.
The country where something like what happened in Her, the movie with Joaquin Phoenix, could happen.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I haven't looked into this in a long time. I'm sure it's already happening because they already had digital girlfriends, like Tamagotchi girlfriends, back like 10 years ago. And, it makes sense because if someone is lonely and can have, a partner to talk to in that way, who is to say that's wrong,
Exactly. Yeah.
Go for it. I mean, if that makes your life better, fine. But it's scary as hell.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
No, but it's, we'll see where things go. I feel like it's so difficult to even expect how things are going to turn out in the like next 2 years. I feel like everything is going so fast that it's just, who can keep up with this anymore even? And especially with AI, it's so clear that it's such a like crucial new technology. It's a bit like when, I don't know, internet became a thing, or when phones, like mobile phones were a thing, or whatnot. It's such a crucial new important technology that we're just really scraping the surface of in the first year that it's been out there for the public. So it's crazy to think what repercussions it's going to have. Exciting, but also a bit scary, not gonna lie.
Yeah, we're in a position where, looking like, I don't know, 10, 20 years in the future, it feels like it's equally possible that we're gonna reach some kind of like utopia, techno-utopia, where so many of our problems have been solved by, incredible artificial intelligence, which can, cure cancer and, figure out how to travel faster than the speed of light and, all this crazy stuff. Like, it's imaginable. And it's completely imaginable that like we're going to be back in the Stone Age in 20 years.
Exactly. Like
both feel like viable options at this point.
Exactly. No, but also like just thinking somehow, like sometimes I have even a difficult time like imagining myself old, because I'm like, everything is moving so fast, and like what is the world going to be when I'm like 80 years old? If, technology is advancing at the rate as it is right now in the past 2 years, it's unimaginable, really. But
do you worry about it?
No, not much. It's not really part of my personality to worry too much about the future, which I think it saves me a lot of headaches. But it's definitely something that, starts being on your mind, like with climate change. Let's not even go there. It's so many like scary things out there.
I always think like, no matter how great the challenges seem today, they must have seemed way worse in 1939.
Fair enough. That's a very good point.
Yeah, so I always think like, this is, to us, it seems insurmountable or unimaginable to, get past these issues. But we have gotten over horrible things as a species. Like we gone through some crazy power centers, some crazy,
Absolutely.
technological changes in the past. Why wouldn't we this time around?
Exactly.
We're still the same animal. We're still the same, species. We've got crazier technology for sure, but we've had crazy people, crazy leaders, and wars and everything going on in the past. And generally, life has improved. If you just expand the time horizon for quite a bit, then why would that stop now? That's my view.
Let's try to keep that mentality. I like it.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
I mean,
no, but I understand what you mean.
First of all, it's true. Like, life is better now than in the past in so many ways. But second of all, like, what's the point of having an attitude that it's all going to shit?
Yeah, no,
it's not helping anyone with anything. Like, then what's the point? Then you just just finish it all, because fuck it.
For sure.
Yeah, no,
gotta stay positive. That's one of my main mindsets for sure.
If people were making babies in 1939, we can pull things off today.
Yeah, exactly. No, I get you.
Let's get back to more earthly stuff. So
this just like diverted, didn't it? But I love it.
Went
that's
off
great.
the deep end. That's fine. What language are you thinking?
Oh, okay. That's a bit tricky actually, because I think it really depends on what language I'm actually speaking at that time. So if I speak Finnish for, I don't know, a few days when I'm there, then my mind kind of switches back to that language, and then I start thinking in that language. Or if, I'm speaking Italian at a summer vacation with my family, then I would think in Italian as well.
Yeah.
But it really depends on what I'm speaking at the moment. I think the interesting question is also what language you would dream in, because that's where like it gets really weird. Like, because dreams in general, I think it's such an interesting topic, but just I know that like I wake up in the middle of the night because I have like very vivid dreams too. So it's a bit of a double-ended sword though, because it's great when it's nice dreams, but then when it's nightmares, it's like, all the horrors. But anyway, so I sometimes like wake up in the middle of the night and I don't know, like nudge at my boyfriend and I'm like, hey, and I start like speaking very like passionately in Italian to him, and he's like, what the hell is happening? What is this like Italian demon lady like talking about? And it's it's kind of funny, but it's definitely a mix, because I think my whole life has been such a big messy mix of languages that's kind of where my brain is wired to nowadays. But it's a bit of a mix for sure.
All over the place.
Yeah.
So have you always been a vivid dreamer?
I mean, yeah, like I still remember dreams that I've had when I was like 8 years old.
Oh, that's so cool.
Like it's kind of funny. Like sometimes when I go to sleep, I'm like, oh, cool. Like it's movie time.
Yeah,
like
that's
let's
awesome.
see whatever my mind makes up tonight, you know? And
I love dreaming, especially when
fun.
it's something intense, vivid that you remember. I love it. It's great.
For sure. No, but like also, I don't know, like waking up in the morning, and usually the first thing I tell my boyfriend is like, okay, yeah, good morning. But you know what I dreamed about tonight, you know, like story time. Here we go. No, I think it's super fun. And, yeah, good luck to my therapist if I'll ever get one to kind of decipher what all of this means. But
are they completely like nonsensical, your dreams, or do they make sense to you?
No, so very often they're completely out there. Like I don't even know how my mind makes up these things. But very often it's really like a movie. Like I remember everything so clearly, and I could like talk about the dream that I had for literally an hour and be like, and then this happened, and then that flower was that color, and like everything so like detailed somehow in my mind, which is super fun. It feels like you have a bit of a like secret life, you know, but it's fun.
Can you control your dreams?
Not that much, but especially when I'm in like a half asleep, half awake type of situation, there sometimes I absolutely can, which is super fun, because then like you can just let your dream go whichever way you like, and you're like, nah, I didn't really like this part of the plot, so let's rearrange it this way and whatnot. But the best thing actually is sometimes I dream about music, which is so fun, because, well, music is a very big part of my life, so maybe that's why I dream about it so much. But just like, I don't know, coming up with like new melodies or whatnot, that they're so cool. They're all like shit. I'm not gonna like kid around here. But it's still fun, you know, and like waking up with a little melody that like you came up with in your dreams, and like,
that's so cool.
I don't know, I think it's really fun.
Yeah, I have a friend in the US who, you know, you can practice controlling your dreams.
Yes,
you can get better at it.
I've Googled a bit about it. Maybe I should get a bit more into it.
With the vivid dreams you have, I'm sure you could pretty easily get there. But yeah, she was practicing this and figured it out and could control her dreams.
Oh, that's so cool.
And she was telling me she had this dream. She was at a bar and Channing Tatum started flirting with her. And that's how she knew this is a dream. And then she took control of the dream and took Channing Tatum and another guy home to have a threesome. That's hilarious.
Nice. Okay, that's really controlling the situation there.
Why not?
Yeah, no, for sure.
That's exactly what one would do in that situation, so go for it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, who are we to judge?
Yeah, right?
It's her dream.
Yeah.
No, that's so funny.
What do you think dreams are?
Yeah, aren't they a bit a representation of your life in some way? To like, I don't think they have like really understood completely what dreaming is, like per se. But I would definitely say it's a way to cope with reality also.
Right.
And like, you know, go through different happenings in your life, and maybe an like unconscious way for your brain to cope with all of that. So yeah, I don't know what that says about my dreams though. Maybe we shouldn't go there. But I don't know what like a swimming pig in Hawaii and like whatnot would mean, but like, you know, like things can get pretty random. But
do you think they always have a meaning, or can they just be random, you know, neurons firing or whatever?
I really think they might be random, because like some stuff is just like, what the hell? You wake up and you're like, huh? Like, But yeah, but many people do find like kind of like stretched out meanings for, or at least in my perspective, you know, stretched out meanings of what things are in dreams and whatnot. I'm sure there's like something behind it. I'm not that, you know, I haven't looked that much into it to have a clear opinion, but for sure, I don't know, like, I remember one recurring dream was wolves.
Okay.
Yeah, that I had like somehow nightmares of wolves, and like I don't know what that could be, but like when it's recurring, I think that might definitely like you know, say something about like, I don't know, being stressed or whatnot, or a classic like your teeth falling, you know, in your dreams. That's such a clear correlation to being in a stressful moment in your life and whatnot. So I'm for sure like believing that there are some correlations.
Yeah, it can be a little bit of both. Sometimes they mean something, sometimes they don't. For me, it's cats.
Oh, really?
When I'm stressed, I dream that a cat bites me and doesn't want to let go. And I'm like shaking it off, like, get off me.
Oh, that's horrible, though.
Nah, I mean, I like cats.
But you like
cool.
cats? Okay.
Yeah.
So that's kind of weird. But yeah.
No,
okay,
I don't. It's been a while now since I've had it, but that is like the only recurring dream that I can think of, and it's usually when I'm stressed.
Yeah.
The cat just grabs a hold and just doesn't want to let go. I have to like. Get off.
I've actually lived that in real life though, so I can imagine the stress. I remember I was at a friend's place and they had like so many kittens, and this kitten literally like attacked me from like when I was going downstairs or whatnot, and it was like hanging on my thigh with like, you know, like so clawed into me. I was like, what the hell is going on? But yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, and you don't want to like
a bit stressful.
You don't want to like punch a kitten either.
No,
so
exactly. You're like,
tricky situation
what are you gonna
in.
do? No, but I love cats and animals in general.
Yeah.
Someday I'm gonna get a pet. Yeah.
Cats are adorable. I like cats much more than dogs.
Oh, really? You're a cat person?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like all animals, but dogs are just too like. If a person behaved like a dog, you would have issues with that. Like you leave the house, you come back a minute later, welcome back. You're like, Jesus Christ,
like
chill out.
Relax.
Cat is more like, you know, sup.
Yeah, it's more chill for sure.
Yeah,
maybe an easier pet too, for sure.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah,
you mentioned music.
Yes.
Tell me about that. In which way is music a big part of your life?
I mean, I think it started for sure when I was a kid and we had so much music in our house. My grandma was a piano teacher.
Oh, nice.
And so that came from like my mom's side. And yeah, my mom also quite musical and whatnot. And then every time we went to Italy for like vacations or whatnot, I remember so vividly like sitting around the table and my uncle just randomly started like playing the guitar and my dad joins in and then my grandma started singing. Like it was very, very present in our house always. And I think that kind of stuck with me for quite a while then. And but just everything from a musical side when it comes to, you know, playing the guitar, singing, and just generally also researching artists that you're passionate about to like understand their history and like where they came from, how they made it, and what personalities are behind these amazing songs. I think it's super fun to have a look at.
Totally. I have a similar situation in my family. My dad is very musical and plays the guitar and sings and is really, really talented. And when we're down in former Yugoslavia, there's a lot of that, like people just, you know, spontaneously grabbing an instrument and a lot of, you know, singing and stuff like that.
Like your own little musical going on.
And
so
and I didn't even realize that it's something I miss here in Sweden. But then one year I was in Poland visiting some friends, and there were 2 guitars there, and people my age, like I'm used to it being my dad and his friends.
Yes, yeah.
But for the first time I was around people my age who did the same thing. Someone just brought up a guitar and they all started, singing and playing, and I just loved it. And yeah, it's just something I don't have here.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel as common to like the spontaneity. Maybe that's part of the culture stuff that we were talking about in the past.
Exactly. Yeah, spontaneity in the general picture too.
Yeah, true. So you play the guitar, you sing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a pro by any means, but my dad taught me when I think I was 14 when I started being really passionate about it. And I remember that one music class where they were like, okay, like now we're going to learn some chords.
Yeah.
And I was like, hell yeah, I was like super interested and like stayed there for hours after the music class to just like get them right and get it started.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, now it's just more like whatever song I'm into, I would just Google the chords and go for it.
Yeah.
But it's it's just such a freeing feeling, and in some way it's like my type of therapy, where I just lose myself in the music for hours on end, and I don't even realize it. So it's something that's super important for me, for sure.
That's it's the same for me. I also play the guitar, and when I can't sleep, that's what I do. I get up, play the guitar, sing a little bit, just kind of get my mind off of things and go back to bed. Do you compose your own music?
I've done a bit of that, but that was more in my early 20s. So I haven't done that much of it right now, but it's definitely an interest of mine.
Got it.
So who knows? Maybe in the future I'll get back to it.
So this is more of a hobby just for your, for the soul.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
For the good of my soul.
Yeah, that's what my dad taught my brother and myself. Like, have a guitar around. It has to be like on display so you can just grab it and play it. It can't be like in a box somewhere in
a storage place.
Like,
no.
Have it somewhere. You don't need to go pro. You don't need to do this as every day, but have it there for when you feel like it. You can just grab it, play a little bit, put it back, and it does something for the soul.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I love that. And also talking with people that feel the same way about it. I just generally love talking about music and listening to music with other people, and talking about that. But also, I don't know, like going to concerts. That's the one thing that I would just throw my money at. Like whenever there's a concert I want to go to, it doesn't matter how expensive it is. It's like it's money becomes like monopoly money for me. It's not real. Like I just I don't even think about it because it's just such a nice experience.
So what are some of the best concerts you've been to? Oh,
good question. Caught me a bit off guard here because there's been many. There's definitely a few. But I remember when Pete Rock came to Stockholm. He's 90s like hip hop artist, and he was playing at Debaser. And I hadn't, listened maybe that much to like his music beforehand, but we went there with a friend of mine, and I tell you, like the vibes there were immaculate. Like everyone like stashed like sardines there, just like vibing in the same way to the music, and it was just such an amazing feeling. I love hip-hop concerts or gigs for sure, because the energy is unmatched there, really. So maybe those types of concerts, but then obviously more rock concerts, for example, Arctic Monkeys or whatnot, because they just came to Stockholm a few weeks ago. And just seeing what people can do like with their instruments, or like John Mayer, even when he came to Stockholm like 5 years ago. I remember I had no one to go to his gig with, so I was a bit torn, like, but feels kind of weird to go to a gig by myself, like how is this gonna end, or like how's this gonna go really? But it was the best decision ever. Like, I was so immersed in the music. He's such a talented musician all around, so it was just magical. So I'm so happy I went. So if you're thinking about going to a concert alone, do it. It's so much fun, even if it feels a bit scary.
Has there ever been like a disappointment? Any concert you've been to where you're like, didn't live up to expectations?
Honestly, no.
That's
like
awesome.
It feels a bit naive to say, but like really every concert I've been to has brought me something. And I've also often went to concerts that where I didn't know the artist that well, even, or that I didn't know them at all, and it was just a friend who's like, "Hey, tag along to this," and I'm like, "Why not?" And even that brings me something, even if it's not like my type of genre or whatever. But I think every concert experience has like somehow broadened my like musical knowledge. I would like to think it that way. So
for sure, and the energy that you see at a concert. When you mentioned hip hop, I thought of I really like Kendrick Lamar.
Oh yes,
and I saw him both times. Well, maybe he's been here more times than that, but I saw him when he was in Münchenbryggeriet, which is like a small venue. And then I saw him when he played in the Avicii Arena, which is huge. And there I really felt like the Münchenbryggeriet one was way better.
Absolutely.
Because it's so close. And, you know, for one person, one rapper to fill out the entire Avicii Arena, it's kind of hard. Like, you know, you need to have a lot of energy
for sure
to fill out such a huge arena. But when it's, you know, near, when the stage is right there and everyone is packed like sardines, like you said, hip hop is just amazing.
It's magical, isn't it?
Yeah.
But what about you? What are some of like your favorite concerts, or concerts that have like at least like impacted you? I would say.
I would have never thought that I would say this,
but
before I actually went there, but Skrillex.
Oh, okay.
It was insane. Like, I've never experienced anything like it in my life. It was just...
In what way?
It's just like musical madness.
Okay, that's a good way to put it. I don't
know if you've listened to Skrillex. He builds up these, you know, mad drops. And this was a festival with, I don't know, 30,000-40,000 people. And you know what's going to happen. Like, he builds up the drop and then he drops it. But doesn't matter. Like, every drop, all these 40,000 people just lose it.
So
that's the energy
wild.
Was just ridiculous. And, you know, he did this tour where they put a lot of effort into the stage, the lighting, the
like, it's a big show.
Huge. So it's huge. And he had like, his stage looked like a spaceship. So he was in a spaceship while he was performing, and I just couldn't imagine a dude with a laptop, you know, dominating a stage. But he did. He really did. He I don't know what he does on his laptop, but he does something. But then he's like, you know, there, jumping around and getting everyone hyped up, and it was amazing. It was really amazing, which was completely unexpected.
That's so fun,
definitely though. Skrillex. He also A$AP Rocky was at that same festival. And he had performed prior to that, but then there's a song with Skrillex and A$AP Rocky, "Wild for the Night," and A$AP came out to the stage to perform with Skrillex for that one song, and that also like. And
did you know that he was coming up?
No, that was a surprise.
Okay.
So it completely, you know, blew everyone's mind. He came out and he's super energetic too. Like, I don't know if you've seen A$AP, but he's like bouncing around the stage.
I haven't seen him live, but I've seen some clips, so I can only imagine.
Oh, that was really a cool concert. Yeah. So I could definitely recommend going to a Skrillex concert.
Nice. It's maybe not one of like the first ones that I would have thought of.
Not at all.
But just like whatever music that transmits so much, and like Skrillex music definitely does.
Yeah.
I can imagine like a concert or like even a gig from that would be insane to be part of.
Yeah, there's a lot going on at a Skrillex concert.
For sure. Yeah. No, that's so fun.
You mentioned before we met that TikTok is something you're active on and doing a lot of. Tell me about that. What do you do on TikTok?
So it's actually funny because I wasn't that active there before, but I've been mostly like passively, watching videos and whatnot. I think TikTok's algorithm is just something insane. I do not know how you can be targeted so well, but once you use the app enough, like it's like your own little entertainment bubble that is so personalized towards you. So I think it's super fun personally.
Yeah.
But as I mentioned, like I do quite some traveling, and then a funny story about that was a video that I made in Bangkok. So when me and my boyfriend were there, we noticed some stores that had very interesting names. So it was like oversized clothing stores that had names like that were completely outrageous, like Moo Moo or like Fatty Fat Girls. Like
I think I've seen this.
Yeah. It's been everywhere. This video has been everywhere. Let me tell
you.
Yes. So,
all right, tell us the story.
This is the source.
I'm pretty sure I've seen this video. Go ahead.
Really, it went so viral. I think it has like 60 million views and like 9 million likes. It's insane. It's insane what happened. But so the story is that me and my boyfriend were in Bangkok, and we were like, damn, like we can't find like any clothes that actually like fit us. Like we wear like medium size in Europe, but there like the clothes are so small, it's crazy. But enough about that. So we were like going a bit around and shopping and whatnot, and then Simon texts me.
Simon is your boyfriend?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah,
no
it
worries.
just came out. But so he texted me like, hey, I'm at a store that is called Fat Boys. And I'm like, all right, that's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
But like, sure, let's see what they have. And then he starts looking around, and he sees that he's actually in a mall that is only for oversized clothing stores.
Okay.
And the names were just something that I've never encountered anywhere in Europe. That much I can say for real. I joined him, and we went around, and I was like, okay, like we have to make a video about this because no one is talking about this, and these names are just incredible. Like it was so outrageous that it was just straight up funny to like walk around and see like Fatty Fat Girls, Moo Moo, and like, oh, the best one is Love Calories. Like that was just something, like how more straightforward than that can you be? I don't know. But then we started taking like clips of these stores, and we clipped it up together. Then when we came back to Stockholm, published it or posted it, and we really didn't think much about it. Like I had like 19 followers on my account and maybe 3 videos that I had posted from before that had like 5 likes each. And we posted it. We thought it was like freaking hilarious. Like we were laughing in tears when we were doing it.
Yeah.
And then we see that, it's going pretty well. Like we had a few like, I don't know, maybe like 20, 30 likes or whatnot. And like people were actually commenting, and like there was some like engagement there. And then we went to bed because it was kind of late. And then Simon is like, hey, let's guess how many likes this video is going to have in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And he still has it written up in his notes. I think we wrote like 400 likes or something like that.
Yeah.
And in the morning, he wakes me up and he's like, Erika, the video has like 200,000 likes.
Holy shit.
And I'm like, what the hell is happening? Like, what did we do? And it just got exponentially like crazier by the hour. It was insane. I think by lunch it had like 5 million views, and like my coworkers came to me asking, is this your video? Like, it's everywhere. They made like a Reddit thread about it and whatnot. It was just wild. So
that's crazy.
That's the story about that video.
So you said it's like over 60 million views now?
Right now, yeah, over 60 million, which is just... Can you even understand how much is 60 million people?
That's crazy.
Like, I cannot even start understanding that amount of people.
Yeah.
It's just wild. But yeah, so then I was, publishing or like writing about it on my social media and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, like, haha, this happened.
Yeah.
Cause I'm not a TikToker or anything at all, but it was just this one crazy video that went
first,
out.
Like viral video. You've never done anything like it. Okay.
No. So then I started being in contact with newspapers about it too. So like it just got crazier and crazier. Like Iltalehti, which is kind of the Expressen version of
Finland.
the newspaper in Finland, contacted me, and we made a little article about it, and they interviewed me about it, and it was just wild. And then Expressen here in Stockholm also.
Okay.
We did a video interview about it, and I actually spoke Swedish in that interview, so if you want to have a laugh or two, you can Google it. No, nice. Jokes aside, it went really well. But yeah, it's just wild. Like it grew so much, like by the hour. And yeah, I've never seen anything like that.
So what does this do like to your life? Is it just a random fun event and you got a little bit of a spotlight, or does this like change what you do on social media or affect you in any way?
Yeah. So it depends a bit where you want to take it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause when this happened, I was a bit like, but should I start taking this seriously and like post more? And that's a bit what I did. Like I did like a few videos here and there, but I quickly understood it does require a lot of time and like a lot of thought if you want to make like a feed that kind of makes sense, and like you kind of want to find a bit of a niche in a TikTok account that you have. So it's a bit like, which way do you want to take this? So I just continued making like silly, funny videos every now and then, and just for the fun of it, really.
I don't know how TikTok works. I understand like a single video can really go viral fairly quickly, but does that like rub over to the rest of your content? Like after that video, do you get like millions of views on your other videos, or how does it work?
Yeah, for sure. Like from that video, my account got much more attention than it could have followers ever gained before that. I think like I have around 16,000 followers or something like that right now, which is insane, going from like 19. Yeah. But
sorry, how long ago was this? Did this happen?
This was a few months ago.
Okay, so recently.
Yeah, recently. Like that video is still going strong. Let me tell you. Like whenever I refresh the notifications, there, it's completely wild. But then it's like, these followers, if you want to put it that way, like they're not really following you. It's more of, hey, you made a funny video. Let's follow. Let's see if something comes up out of this account, you know. But yeah, it didn't have, you know, my face or my boyfriend's face there either. So
which is probably a good thing.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe.
yeah, but I don't feel strongly about like being out there or not. Like I don't mind that at all. But then of course the followers that you gain are not there to, you know, know more about you that much, unless you take that path, you know, by making videos that are more about your personality and so forth. But it takes a lot of time. So I haven't really gotten that much into it. I take it more as, you know, it was a fun video that got super viral. It was a fun ride, but then that was a bit
a fun side hobby or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I guess with a video like that, the followers are probably people who want more funny meme type videos.
Yeah, I think it's that. But also I don't know if you use TikTok that much or not.
I don't know.
No, okay.
But I'm on Instagram Reels every now and then.
Oh, okay. Classic millennial, aren't we all?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, but yeah, at least myself when I'm on TikTok, I actually use more of the For You page, it's called. So it's a like random list of different types of videos that you might like according to the algorithm. But I don't really go on the following part, so where you know you see the people that you follow and their new videos, because usually the more like out there and viral videos are on the For You page. So yeah, I guess people use that more. So even if you have some followers, like the content still has to be amazing for it to reach, you know, the actual For You page. So
followers is not as big a thing on TikTok as it is on some other social media.
As on Instagram, I would say, for sure, at least.
Yeah, I'm scared of it all.
Yeah, like, it's a bit intimidating.
Instagram Reels is crack. I mean, and TikTok, it's pretty much the same thing. It's crack. It's like, it's so easy to get hooked.
Yes, it's all studied to do exactly
they are
that.
Great at what they do. They're great at what they do. So if I wasn't already on Instagram since, I don't know, 2012 or whatever, I probably wouldn't have gotten in now. So I'm trying to stay away from TikTok and everything new that comes out. I'm like, I can't deal with this.
Maybe that's a very smart move, actually.
Maybe it'll be essential knowledge in a few years. Who knows? But I feel like I'm entitled to be an old man at this point and
you do you honestly. Like I also have these like random times where I'm like, fuck all social media. Like I just want to delete everything and be like super, you know, like out of that world. But then it creeps back. It creeps back and you're like, but you're a bit bored. You want to look at something like very niched that you would like, and I feel like these apps are so good at it, which is
they are so good.
Yeah,
there's this joke by Louis C.K., comedian. He talks about drugs and he says, how am I gonna tell my kids drugs are bad? Drugs are amazing. They're so good they'll ruin your life.
Ouch. Yeah.
And that's how I feel about social media. It's not that they're bad, they're fucking great. Like you get all that amazing content.
Exactly.
That's the problem, that they're so good. They're too good.
It quickly becomes that, actually. So yeah, you have to be a bit careful maybe.
How did that feel, like getting the enormous viewership on that? Like was that a little bit of a kick that you kind of wanted to get again, or?
I mean, the thing is, it didn't change anything in any way. Like, my life was obviously still just what exactly it was before. Yeah. But especially because actually in Scandinavia, you don't get paid from TikTok from having, you know, videos that go viral. It's just and exclusively sponsorships that that make you get money on TikTok.
But in other countries, you can get paid by TikTok.
By TikTok, exactly.
If you make viral content.
Yes, and that's like some sort of creators fund that they have in specific countries, but Scandinavia is not part of it. So like that already, like you're not doing it for the money, but you know, when exactly, it wouldn't hurt. Exactly. If something like this would happen again, you're like, but it would be nice. Like you're giving so much exposure, you know?
Yeah.
So then
that's, I don't know. I'm conflicted about that because it makes so much sense that the people who bring 60 million people to TikTok should get paid.
Yeah, like somehow
it makes sense.
Yeah,
because that's what people go to the platform for. But
that's not how it works.
I'm sure there's good reason for it to not be that way too, because especially with a young people on the platform, that it can be tricky.
For sure.
Okay, so it didn't change much for you.
No, it didn't change much, but you know, it's still a little fun fact.
Yeah.
That is always funny to talk about. But it's still all the same. But it was really fun back then.
That's good. Could you imagine this happening to you when you were like 13?
Oh my goodness. That's actually a good question. How would like not to say underdeveloped brain, but like still like a child's brain react to something that huge?
Yeah.
That's very, very difficult actually. I think it would have been completely different. Like you would have taken it like this life-altering moment, you know, and like maybe chasing towards doing that again, and like becoming quite obsessed with maybe that attention also.
Yeah, it would have literally been the biggest thing you have achieved at that age.
Exactly.
And it would feel like this is, you know, what you want to achieve, because the digital world and the real world are so intertwined now.
For sure,
a 13-year-old doesn't have a sense that it's different.
Absolutely. No, that's a really fun question, actually. No, it's a bit scary to think about that, because many viral TikToks do come, especially from extremely young people that are behind them. And I mean, it's very much US based. So it comes from there, and just being also so like when you're young, you're so, what's the word now? Impressionable, exactly. With whatever content you see, and there being so many like products also out there on TikTok that you get like really overloaded with. So yeah, it's a bit tricky there for sure.
It is terrifying.
Yeah. Wow.
I don't have kids, but if I do one day, that this stuff is gonna be, I don't know how to deal with it.
At least regulated a bit, like.
I've talked about this in the past. I think in like 30 years or whatever, we're gonna look back and be like, holy shit, how do we allow kids on social media?
Yeah.
Like, we're gonna look at it the way we look at, you know, how they were allowing kids to smoke cigarettes when, you know, 50 years ago or whatever.
Exactly.
Or you know, cough medicine that had cocaine in it. It's like, we're gonna look at social media like that in the future. At least I hope we will.
Yeah, but then it's so intertwined with the entertainment that kids get. So it's so difficult to get away from that too. So
it is, but we should.
Yeah,
I really think we should. I think we're creating something that is going to be difficult to untangle.
Yeah, exactly.
By allowing kids on social media and just allowing them to have smartphones at a very early age. I think it's
for sure.
It's dangerous.
Yeah, just looking at kids at restaurants. I mean, I totally understand that it's so easy to like hypnotize your kid with,
absolutely.
you know, like whatever cartoons or whatnot. Just yeah. But it's also kind of crazy to see like 2-year-olds so connected with the digital world already.
I mean, I was telling you earlier, like Instagram Reels to me is crack. Like I struggle getting off of it. I need to, like, you know, have a hard limit. Like I'm gonna see 5 more Reels, then I'm done.
That's so true.
And
Same here.
I'm 34. Like so, I can't imagine a 10-year-old, the kind of discipline that's required.
For sure.
Yeah. I'm scared of all of that stuff.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm probably exaggerating a little bit, but when it comes to, I feel like everything would be so much easier if it wasn't for kids.
For sure. As soon as kids are involved, it's like you have to double check everything and rethink things, because it's such an impressionable audience that you really have to keep that in mind. I'm
reading this book. It's called Unrestricted Warfare. And it is about, it's written by, I think it's 2 colonels, like army people in the Chinese army.
Right.
And it's written all the way back in 1999, and talks about like how an inferior superpower is to beat a superior superpower, or like richer, in that sense, superior, like richer and more technologically advanced. And why the inferior superpower needs to do unrestricted warfare, which means not just, you know, weapons and that kind of stuff, but use everything they can as weapons. Yeah. And it is so disturbing to read that now and see, like, it pretty much talks about what TikTok is. Yeah. And how it's going to be utilized, and it was written, you know, 24 years ago. Exactly. But super, like, contemporary still. Oh, man. Yeah. It's kind of disturbing. I read something yesterday and highlighted. It's like you have to use new technology that's going to be close to the user base. Yeah. That they don't, like, even consider a weapon. I'm like, oh, man, that's so spot on. That's so spot on. So there's a lot of theories like that you know, that TikTok is used in that way as a weapon. And it's where you least expect it, kind of. Who knows, man? Who knows? Like, I don't pretend to know enough about this topic to be able to say anything on it, but why wouldn't it be? Like, that's just the way the world works. Exactly. That reminds me of I don't know if you've seen that Black Mirror is back in the game with season 6. Yeah, I haven't seen any of the new episodes. But I've seen that it's out. Yeah, it's oh man, some disturbing stuff. Let me tell you. I can imagine. As always, Black Mirror delivers. Yeah, for sure. That's great. That's great. It's been a while since they dropped new episodes. Yeah, it's been a few years. I have had to wait years for this, so finally it's here. Like, we made it into a whole thing. Me and my boyfriend, like, obsessing over each episode and like really talking about it, which I love talking and like having discussions about, you know, episodes and movies and whatnot. And I mean, you could talk hours about Black Mirror. It really gets your brain going. That's one of those shows where after seeing an episode, it's impossible to not talk about it. Exactly. Yeah. Like you turn it off and you're like, all right, so we need to unpack some of this shit. Exactly. Like, especially if you're like watching with your partner, you're like, all right, so would you do that? Like, would you have a AI version of me if I die? Like, what's going to happen? Exactly. Yeah. It's a really well-made show. Yeah. But I think, like, about that, you know, AI versions of people and whatnot, I think it's already happening that you can kind of train an AI just by like a few recorded phone calls or whatnot, and like it immediately catches what type of personality you have, your tone of voice, your way of speaking and being,
which, yeah, there again, who knows where it's gonna go.
Who knows?
Somehow we'll maybe become immortal for life by being, you know, kept as artificial intelligence in the future.
I have a podcast, so I'm fucked.
Yeah. Yeah, like, so you're really out there.
A bunch of AI versions already.
Exactly.
No, it's really weird. It's really weird. Would you when we're on the topic, would you be comfortable with an AI version of you?
Big question. I mean, my instinct says no. Like, once I'm gone, I'm gone. Like, that was it. But
even while you're alive, like an AI version, a perfect copy of you that can do all the boring shit.
Okay, so you take that approach, yeah? That sounds already a bit more intriguing, doesn't it? Yeah. It's like my version going to, or like an AI version going to work or whatnot. And I think there's actually
Severance.
Yes, exactly. That one.
Such a good show.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It really gets you thinking, because like having like your work personality trapped at work and like never kind of getting out of there, but then you get to live your life to the fullest without having to think about that. But yeah.
Would you be open to that?
I would want to say no, because in the end, like, everything that you're doing, first of all, hopefully I will and I am enjoying what I do for work. So that I think is a big part of life also. But I don't want to say that work is life, but it is an important part. And hopefully, you know, I'm able to use my passions and my skills at work, and it's something that is also very rewarding. Yeah. So I wouldn't want to do that probably, because it does bring like satisfaction also. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. How about you?
No, not at all.
No.
No, not at all. I think maybe if I had a really boring, terrible job.
That's the thing.
Yeah. Then it would make sense. But I love what I do, and it's a big part of my life. So I can't imagine severing off my work self.
Yeah.
That seems crazy.
I think we're on the same page here.
So in your work, you research and you learn a lot about like what people search and how they search and how to, you know, utilize that in various ways. Yeah. What has that taught you about people, about human beings?
I mean, it's still quite an analytical job. Like, you don't get much out of a single like Google search, especially since it's a very narrowed field, usually like the company that you work for. It's just, the one product that you offer, and the people are interested in, like, they have a high intent of buying your service or your product. So it doesn't really tell much. And surprisingly enough, not that much from like the human behavior side. But of course it's funny. Like, sometimes you stumble on crazy searches and you're like, wow, what happened to this person to like search for such weird things? But
what's some of the crazy stuff you've seen?
I really can't come up with anything specific right now.
Did you see the guy that was searching like how to kill his wife?
What? No. Yeah. Has that actually happened?
Yeah, in the US.
Oh my goodness.
Some guy was searching like super specific stuff.
No.
Like, how do you dispose a body, and you know, can you use this for
come on.
Like every question was about like how to best do it, you know, and that's
commit
how he
crime straight up.
And he got caught.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. That's
So you haven't seen any like that?
No, not to that extent, thank God, at least. But it's it can be quite funny too.
Yeah, I bet like someone who sees all searches.
Yeah, see, that's the difference, because like my work is very niched. Yeah. So then, yeah, it falls within the product category of whatever you offer. But on a like broader scale, there's definitely like some trends that could pop up that are super interesting.
Yeah, working like backend for Google.
Yeah,
it's gotta be weird. Yeah. If you can get to all of that history.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Weird time. It's so weird because we have so much access to information, but we're still the same animal that we have been, you know, for hundreds of thousands of years. We're just not meant to have all of this information. Like why should we be able to know like what people are searching on the other side of the planet?
Yeah, and it's a bit it's a bit like there's no excuses to be dumb anymore. Like you have the entire world in the palm of your hand. It's just insane if you think about what power you have, what power every individual has that just owns a smartphone.
But if we flip it back around to what we were talking about with AI search, with that access also comes access to bad information.
Exactly.
And how do you know what's good, what's bad?
That's hopefully where regulations should step in. But
government, we can trust them. What have they ever done that's bad?
we'll have to see, I guess. Only time will tell.
Yeah, it's tricky. All right, Erika, I think maybe we can start wrapping things up. What do you say?
I think that sounds great. This has been a blast. Thanks for having me.
We have covered everything. We have figured all of the world's problems out. So
pretty much.
Yeah.
We can say we did.
We're a huge impact on the world. That's good. No, but I really appreciated your perspectives. It's very interesting, especially with, like we were talking about, having such a multicultural upbringing. Yeah. You bring a unique perspective, and it's very fun to pick your brain and figure some things out.
Yeah, no, I've really enjoyed sharing all of the different stories and perspectives to things. And of course, like, you're so used to just being yourself, but then it's kind of funny, like understanding what richness, what cultural richness is behind it when you really sit down and have a discussion about it. It's been really fulfilling.
Yeah, everyone is just plain old normal to themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
But everyone is completely unique to the rest of the world, which is so cool.
That's so true. Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing your uniqueness.
Thank you for having me. This has been really fun. Good conversations.
Thank you very much. And thank you to all the listeners. See you next time. Bye-bye.